Alrighty then, welcome to today's episode welcome everybody to Dynasty the Podcast Show. This is your host, Ira Thomas Bush the Fourth. Today is the day we are doing. Today, this is our elite State of the Union. This is a daily. A weekly special that we're going to be doing from now on. It's definitely while I'm in Washington D.C. because if you know anything about media or stuff that I'm gonna just tell you like this. I grew up watching like State of the Union. I'm a big sports fan. I watch football every Saturday and Sunday. So all that stuff I catch when the games come on, and all that stuff is right after or right before, or breaking news. I used to be in front of the TV at the time when these stuff come on, and I always was, believe it or not, I was always, a sharp pen. Like my pen is very elite when it comes to writing things and summarizing things and deciphering things. I never had issues like that when I was younger, and I always and it just grew over time, and I'm in the swing of it as a full grown adult. So we're gonna go about it the correct way. So today's show is basically, this week has been one of these. It's not really been a test for me because I've been, people want to continue to like haze me in the United States of America for some odd reason. But it's not about hazing me. It's about, when are y'all going to allow me to be the greatest version of myself? And, religion has came up several times this week. It's been kind of every day. It's been kind of a thing they want to put into the atmosphere. So I called um today's State of the Union inconclusive religion, and this is the third version of you know our State of the Union. And I have people in my family. They might be not. I won't call them super religious. I would just say they're studiers. They study the religion of Christianity. They're believers of God. And I also have a few friends that's the same. Most people believe in God, but do you actually know what they are talking about? I'm gonna just give my example, and I know people not gonna agree with me. The religion, like I've took my time, and I've been a part of several teams, several entities, that claim that they're with God, or they're believers of or Christianities or whatever, baptism, whatever they want to claim at the time. The religion and today and the last, I won't was it I can't remember. It might have been, yeah, it might have been last night where I went to Bible study, or the day. It probably was last night. But like I said, the day before that, I was in a session. It was more somebody came to speak a sermon, and I don't mind sermons, but they have to actually, people read off a book and then they want to go off that and not be a believer in themselves and their inner self. And then there's people out here spiritually attacking at the same time. So some people are confused. And that's where, the inconclusive word comes in. I'm gonna read that definition to you before I continue because, I know as young people out there that's like, what is he talking about? What is inconclusive? Hold on, let me get this on screen. And I'm gonna read it to y'all so y'all don't be loud. It's inconclusive means not leading to a firm conclusion, not ending doubt or dispute. So religion is one of those things where there are several different types of religion, and I'm gonna talk about what people the census have came up with for the top 5 religion. I'm gonna read off what the top 5 is. That's gonna go right into the main subject of breaking down those two first it was a sermon that I attended, and then the next day it was the Bible study. So we're going to break down those two things, and then I'm going to conclude it with my opinion of what I feel, and what I came out of after both situations. I'm gonna that's how I'm gonna look at it. So let's go right into it. I don't think I missed nothing in my intro. I just want to say I'm appreciative. Today I got up early this morning on a Saturday. I try my best to be mindful of what I do. People have made it tougher than it needed to be today. That's how that's what I don't know what they're trying to simulate or imagine in their brain, but my mind is me. When I wake up every morning, I'm very grateful. Regardless of what people might think, what people have said or people have slandered, and I talk about this all the time. If you can't, I'm more of the people like I rather for to get my consequences of anything that you might believe. I'm not one of those people that blame others for not having success. And I talk about this all the time. I want people that I don't know how many followers. I know I have a child. I know I have nieces and nephews that believe in my word and believe in the things that I do, and so and probably some family members as well. And I don't think it's a small amount, even whatever you might say or believe. You get what I'm saying? Because I've done enough public speaking now. Um, so and it might be people that I coach the same type of thing. So I try my best not to especially in public forum, like misguide, have that misguide or that deceitful or that serpent type of energy of not telling the truth. I try my best, and this is a wicked, and it gets real wicked when you're on the other side of you being a truth teller and the other person not being. So they want to always combat you. They want to always try to make you be a part of their kind of situation, and that's what basically how it's going. It's coming down to it when this comes to this religion thing. And I spoke on some of these people. They have formed these religions up, and some of these religions are formed off pure just lies, and it's not, and it's been blown over. So some of these people still following it. I'm still in the mode of studying these things. I'm still in the mode of, I want to explore more. Everybody says God in each religion. So why, if you know what religion is, it's basically like a following of somebody's teaching. So why is it so down? Just because your teaching is not as popular as these religions, once your religion get as popular as these religions, you could have a religion basically. And I'm not trying to get to that point. I'm trying to be more on the active side, and I'm trying to pass the torch to somebody greater, better, and bigger than me. And these people have this mindset when I say that you, just because of your color or your skin, you're going to be bigger than me. And they have that mindset because they have came from the depths of evilness. And I'm not being funny when I say this. They really have been trained to be evil. So, this is one of the discussions in the Bible. So we're going to go right into it. First, I'm going to read off. I don't want to go into more of my opinion to after. So, first, we're going to break down the first night when a person gave the sermon, and I had to speak to the guy who gave a sermon afterwards, and basically they gave me a riddle round, because he was called a senior in his church, and he was a pedestrian. I don't know if he was called Catholic Christian. I don't know what kind of Christian. He's on the side of the Christian Catholic people, Baptist, whatever they call themselves. But he's the pedestrian. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I'm not heavy religion. I'm heavy God, a heavy spirit of the Most High, the person that give us life. I'm on that side, and the religion is the Bible, and most of these people have a Bible. So I don't mind reading the Bible. I don't mind studying the Bible. I don't mind referencing the Bible. I don't mind agreeing with the Bible. I don't have that type of issue in my spirit. But you're not going to tell me I don't know the history of the United States of America. You're not going to tell me all these religions have became businesses, and y'all capitalizing off people that have $0 sometimes or in the negative. You're not going to tell me that you're not capitalizing on the elderly that has worked this 40 to 25 years, and you ask them for money, and you barely want to go out here and feed the homeless because your religion say you're not clean. Your religion say you haven't prayed 6 times a day. Your religion say you got this problem or that problem, and this is all based off people who have took a tongue that people. The first man in Africa was basically somebody that didn't speak. They just did. They just had fun. They just expressed themselves. They drew characters on the wall. They, you know what I'm saying? They, you know, everybody was building the empire. You know what I'm saying? This is basically what before, you know, before Christ and all this, you know, all this stuff that, you know, people don't want to speak on. People don't want to talk about all this information being in not in English. And if you go do the history of English in London and Britain and all these this disruptive, negative, demonic stuff they were practicing, not knowing how to wipe their ass, not knowing how to clean themselves, all the disease and plagues that they had over there in the country. That's why they had to find new land. And then they went and ran into natives and Africans that are already propagated in North America, and they expanded into Asia and South America and all this stuff that was already, the teaching was already there from the African people or the descendants of these people. And I'm not making this up. They don't talk about it in the United States of America. So I'm saying it in a way is I haven't traveled enough to go into full detail, but I have learned enough from sitting in this land on the United North America, United States of America, that I need to go visit my ancestor ground. And I don't even think I have to visit no more. I need to make sure I'm able to speak with my elders, my grandfather, my great aunts and stuff before they ascend. And you know, they already took one of my great, you know, ascended my father. They already ascended one of my grandmothers and all this stuff. They already attacked my grandmother when one of our strongest soldiers on my mother's side had to go sit in prison for somebody else lying and conniving and, you know, the evil ways that they want to take out people that protect other people's spirits and all kind of extra stuff that'll be going on. So I don't want to speak on it too much in a form of, you know, in a form of and and a lot of this stuff comes from people not understanding, you know, you're born to change, you're born to elevate and sin in a different manner. So that's what I'm talking about, you know. Now, in the prolific, okay, the top five religions. Cause I always go in, but you know, it's all about, you know, this is what was spoken on and I got notes on it, so I'm gonna read them and I'm gonna try to, you know, go fast. I don't want to be here all day. I don't want to sound like I study how to be a preacher or study how to be this and that. I did study how to be a coach. I did study how to be a leader. I did study how to speak into public. I did study how to speak correct and properly before I was in elementary. These are stuff I talk about all the time. So you're not gonna tell me I can't speak in public. You're not gonna tell me my mother wasn't a great teacher. You're not gonna tell me my grandmother wasn't a great teacher. You're not gonna tell me my mother and grandmother still not great teachers. You're not gonna tell me my grandfather is still not a great leader. You're not gonna tell me these things. These are stuff that this is stuff that I've been around. So you can't, and the people that trained me and taught me are still at the top of their game. So it's all, you know, and there's people that want to come around me for a short period that that are actually out here running around acting like they taught me something for a year. And I've been around people for 5 to 10 years when I was in high school, when I was after high school, and these people around here acting like they did the most, you know what I'm saying? And I've been around my grandparents and grandmother my whole life. This is the craziest stuff that goes on. This is why America is not at the top of their game, because you got so many hateful, evil people running around trying to be something that they not, trying to trying to take credit for not being putting in enough time and being selfish at the same time. So it's like you got to give or take. So let's go right into it. The top five religions that, you know, this is what Google tell me. I'm in the United States now. I'm not over there in Africa praying 6 times a day, or India, wherever, you know, the Muslim and the people and you know, all those big religions, you know, they come together and they talk about all the religions, and they have actually know how to, you know, break down with millions and billions of people. Basically, when you leave this little patch of turf and go out and expand your horizon. I haven't got to that level, but I will. I got my passport. You know what I'm saying? I ain't stunned what he see and he be. You know what I'm saying? Or she. But the top five that they have put is the Protestantism. I don't know if I'm saying that correct. It's the largest group, included with Baptist, non-denominational, Methodist, and other denominations. That is percentage of 40 to 45% of adults in the USA. The second one is Catholicism. The second largest single denotation, that's 19 to 22%. Judaism, the largest non-Christian group or religion. Islam, one of the fastest growing non-Christian faiths, that's only 1%. And Hinduism, Buddhism, and others, that is approximately 1% of population. So each. And this is what I will say about that. Protestantism, that's basically Christianity. Baptism. This is basically what's in front of me. Right now, especially right now, baptism is a big thing in Washington D.C. and it's big. Catholicism is was brought up in a big sex trafficking and funneling boys and girls being men, and that was big, and it's still 20% people that follow that religion, and like I said, broke down how much they not really broken down, especially to the youth. Now I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna read something. I'm gonna read some facts that I just pop in something. So this is Religious Landscape Study RSL Pair Research. I just typed in something. Top 5 religions in the United States. So it's gonna be more stats of what people have already came up with. I'm not trying to go into that this country or this state and all this, basically what I'm trying to say. I don't want to sound smarter than I, what I know more, but it's like I have to have the Bible here. I have to have people of other religions here. What they put in front of me was Christianity in the Bible. What I learned, I've been around people that study, that pray 6 times a day. One of my favorite basketball players, street basketball player teammates, he's not from this country, or his family might not be. It's probably his mother or his grandmother, his grandparents. I don't know which one. I didn't ask too many questions, but he's one of my favorite people because he's a very humble person, and he's not, he's not a weak person. You know what I'm trying to say? And I ain't gonna put nobody's name out there, but he's very, the older you get, the more you know that person. The same what I felt about him not speaking as much as he does now as a full grown adult. I'm happy that I still can say I believe in that person. And I'm not saying he's my best friend because he got other friends that he grew up with, because I met him when I was a teenager, and I already had people that I grew up with that I one day it'd be so big everybody could just come to a place and everybody laugh and tell stories and laugh and fellowship in the correct and proper way, because we all got to grow up, we all got to raise our children. So but like he's his I don't even know if he might be a Christian, but I'm saying like he knows other religions. His country that he comes from is a different religion. And when we were getting older, when we were coming into full grown, spoke to me. He sent me something about this praying 6 times a day, and I remember that because it's aimed about eating certain things and times of years that they already learned in their country that they don't talk too much about in the United States. They just put it on the calendar because everybody's already here, type of situation, and they want people to still follow the Catholic and baptism and the white power guy or whatever this country, whatever the United States is formed off of. You just got to be intelligent enough to decipher these things that they put in front of you. And I think I was. And I'm not saying I'm the smartest. I'm just saying I'm not gonna fall for anything, because y'all have come out as frauds, thieves, and all kind of things in these religious groups. And it'd be the complete opposite of what you're preaching. So that's that's how I look at it. Those situations. Now, what I will say, I'm finna go right into it. These are just stats. I'm not gonna do too much reading it. Reading into it. These are stats on religion. I'm just gonna talk about, I'm gonna break down the 2 nights, and these are facts from my experience. The guy, and I don't really remember the guy's sermon, but what I do remember, I remember his sermon, and he just was reading off a lot of scriptures. He didn't want to, it wasn't a Bible study situation. It was his sermon. It was just him, his belief. And it was, like I said, he's from I can't really pronounce it like right now. So he's from a certain type of Christian, Holy Bible God, and I know how to decipher people's mannerisms. So he wanted everybody in the room, and the older guy who came, they wanted everybody to just say whatever they talking about is what it is. It don't matter what you think. It don't matter how you feel. It don't matter what state or country you come from. This is what it is, and it don't matter what you say. We gonna be what it is. And we got all these demonic forces that we was formed on that we know about. We got certain laws. We got certain ways we go about things, and that's what it is. That's what I came off as. I'm not saying that's a bad thing because I'm still in a season of growth. I'm still in the season of learning what you talking about. And then your church, your congregation is mostly Caucasian, so you don't invite, you come to speak to us like you're the God. You really believe, like he really believed that God was white. You know what I'm saying? He really believes that the man is more powerful than a woman. And I'm not saying that in the terms of you know strength wise. I'm talking about in the giving of life, of energy. He really like has this mind. These people, especially if you're a Caucasian, you cannot possibly believe that you're stronger than a woman. You might take some steroids, eat some nice fruit and vegetables all your life, but you not from the strongest totem pole of human life. You can't believe that. It's too much stuff out here to tell you what it really is. So when your religion tells you this, and you've been running around chasing your own tail, you've been running around but going off all that evil demonic stuff, or even how you got it to power, and that's where any of these people who believe in the religion of God, Christianity, Catholicism, or whatever, got these certain laws, he was talking about after. So when I asked him, let's make it summarize it. I was just telling you how the summary of what his sermon was, and I could decipher it. He was talking crisscross. He was talking about the Bible that they reading out of. I don't study what you study, so I don't mind you still talking about God. I don't mind hearing what you talking about. I told him this, and I was letting them know. I'm like, man, some of the stuff you say, it sounds really powerful. I basically let them know that. And I told him, man, I'm not mad at nothing you said. I'm here to gain wisdom from somebody who supposedly be of God. But the snake and his mannerism came out of him when I was asking him questions. He didn't know the answers to the question. He was like, well, you got to go talk to this certain person in our religion. And then he didn't answer that question directly. So it came up to, you might be a fraud, just literally you might, just for the fact that you can't answer certain questions, and this person call you a senior, meaning the highest level of your church, meaning, and especially in speaking, you can't answer my question. Who's supposed to answer the question when these young kids that I'm trying to touch, when it comes to preparation, when it comes to raising a family, when it comes to cleaning, keeping your community clean, helping the elders for real, and being able to obtain wealth and money so you could help for real, like you could put back in. So this is basic stuff that my mother and my aunts was speaking on right in front of me and my cousins, the men and the women. You know what I'm saying? This is basic stuff. And this ain't got nothing to do with religion. It's about being a great person, a great human. So I might be giving out to my cousin, will probably slap me upside my head, but oh well, we're in our age. He, the person I'm speaking on, well, if he get this message, you gonna know who it is. He speaks in a whole different manner than me, but he don't spoke loud enough. So you can't get mad how I look at it. So it is what it is. It ain't what it ain't. And his mom and my mom got basically the same. My mom don't say as much, and my aunt probably don't talk as much no more, but because she's older. But it's stuff going on. It's stuff happening. We got our sisters don't play, our cousins don't play. Everything gonna come to full fruition, and I don't have time to be pampered or fake pampered by somebody that's Caucasian. That's basically how they look at you. They look at you as some kind of, they not really comprehending how they got here, even into power. All it was a few people that looked like me that trusted you, and you took it and you went and started murdering people. This is what the basis of United States how you came into power, how you call Thanksgiving and you celebrate it every year. That's basically what it is, you know. So you know, you did your thing as some kind of evil, what do you call it, conqueror, or it's evil to us because you killed a lot of people that look like me. Just for a piece of land. You know, that was basically what we did. We traded, we helped, we loved, we cared, we sang, we hanged out. You know, it's not that much different. Now y'all going into the scientific world, messing with plants, messing with food, messing, you know, not protecting the country with the strongest men. You want to cipher energy of all kind of ways, attack the children, formulate a whole mirage that you out here protecting and serving our young people in our tribes, and you out here got this whole simulation selling people that we ain't doing what we supposed to do because this and that, but y'all doing all this evil stuff in behind the screens just to claim something. So you know we gonna move on. Now let's go right into it. You know that and basically when I was talking to him at the end, I basically came up with a conclusion. You know, hopefully we could get back to it when I'm studying full time the Bible, and I could come out with some kind of literature that combats. You know, it's not going to be combative. It's going to read the scripture. It's going to talk about what I feel about these scriptures. It's going to decipher. It's going to correct all this crisscross down talk that they do in the Bible that people don't. That like I said, it came from the people that was kicked out of their homeland in Europe. So it's like, and they depicted this white person, and then it depicts over here in the bigger countries and the more important countries with all the riches and nutrients that they tried to go over there and poison several times to create wars amongst each other, different countries in the biggest continents in the world, and it's already been known and talked about enough. So we gonna get back to you, my guy. It's all good. It's all good. Now let's go right into the Bible study because this, everybody's not perfect. So what I did conclude with the guy, and this was Minister Sean Bible study that I wrote it down because I was a little bit more. This was a study type of situation. So sorry that I didn't write everything down you were saying, and you wasn't answering my questions when I was raising my hand during your sermon. So I didn't feel the need to remember as much. I just got a summarized version. I asked you a few questions, and y'all basically got what it is. Now, I told you who this guy is. Now let's go right into what he was speaking on. First thing he said is like, it is finished, and there's three ordinary. He said there's three ordinary words with extraordinary power. You take what that come with. I like how it sounded, so I wrote it down, and that's something he said out of his mouth, and I'm pretty sure he learned it. He studied. He's teaching us Bible study. Then another word, he malefactor. That means they are not. That means someone is not going to change. A malefactor, and he was just speaking on in the Bible. The certain these people were called out by name, and we are speaking on these certain verses. A malefactor is somebody that people deem is not going to change. Not that they didn't. The thing was, we was talking about how they did change and how they did overcome certain situations, and that can resonate right now. So we were speaking on that thing. People have, and I'm using me as an example. I'm not as powerful. I don't know if I do yet. I'm still in my 30s. I'm in my mid 30s, going into my middle of my mid 30s, and I done my thing as playing sports. I done my thing as an athletic coach, and I still want to continue to do this. But what people have slept on me the most about is me being able to persuade in the greatest and the most positive way without telling them what to do. I give it great suggestions, or people might take my suggestion and learn from it. You never know. And I know this for a fact. You know what I'm saying? Some people don't listen to me. Some people go the opposite way, and things don't turn out as great as they should. And that's just how it always been since I've been a young person. So a malefactor, like I was saying, people have said so much bad things about me, but I have done the complete opposite, and I've done the most with the least. So it's always, don't never let nobody trick you out of what God instilled inside you, and You can ascend to anything if you're able, if you have the ability, and if you put the work in. I believe that the most. Now, another thing, because I try to wrote down what he was saying, because some of the stuff was very like, I won't call it catchy. I would just call it inspiring. It could be considered inspiring to others as well. Based on experience, it leads for what? It leads based on your experience, it leads to when you put the time in. This is what he was saying. When you put based on experience, it leads to like people opening doors for you, no matter how long it may take. And I believe this greatly because I know my circumstance was more about being in my home state so long, and I'm probably not even supposed to. The things that I learned in Washington D.C. for in a short period is I'm probably needed in other states, not here, not in Florida, because Florida is very. Let's put it like that. It's sophisticatedly prejudiced and racist towards people of color. And the same could be, and it's very mild. It's like here the people are institutionalized in a major way based off the system starting in this whole little part of the United States of America. This is where the home front this is where the first safe zone basically they call it. If you're talking in like war terms or peace peace treaty terms. This area was one of those areas. And there's a lot of native tongue type of this is basically native land still, but this is where the Caucasians took over and called it their home ground. And then you go to the Midwest, it's still a lot of native and blacks, that get displaced and get mistreated. And y'all know that stuff came up in North and South Dakota a few years ago. I don't know nothing about it, but we're gonna get to that. I'm only one man, and I still have assignments down south. And I think I did my job as putting people the awareness. And I still got to go grab my children out of there for real, like in a bigger way. And I know everybody's still around and alive, so I'm not saying it ain't getting done or it ain't been done. But I don't like the fact that people could have the. I don't like the fact that people thinking too hard about even doing evil stuff to the children of my child or my nieces and nephews. I don't even like that because they're still children, and all of them are educated and all of them are talented. I don't understand what the issue is, why you can't mind. Half the time these people are mad because their children are not as great as our children. And I'm like, why y'all still doing that type of situation in this late in the process of understanding of technology of opportunity, especially if you're Caucasian. And I'm not just gonna dish y'all. It's all types of people that fall in line with Caucasians, but these are the people that started the Constitution. These are the people that wrote, that stole the terms of what everybody agreed, meaning the black African Americans, the Asians, whoever was over here, the natives, the Pacific Islanders, whatever they calling them on our, when you go check that box to get a job. Everybody had their agreement of the Constitution, but these people were out in front as the president, as this and that, and going back to Spain and London and Britain and Germany, wherever they was calling themselves coming from. They wasn't trying to do nothing but Africa, but say sorry about killing off the slave that was supposed to come over and help build things up and help in the field or whatever they was put in the story in the thing, but it was killing and raping the women, and they was doing all that extra stuff that they still put in the books. Especially when you get to college, you need to be in denial. So this all got to be. It was broad daylight when they killed Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and poisoned all our leaders and destroyed the Black Panthers. You can go into detail. We're gonna talk about the Black Panthers soon. I ain't been thinking about those type of stuff yet because we live in it right now. I believe in the space that I'm in right now. I know for a fact. I know who you know what I'm saying. I just gotta live my life. I try my best not to be in nobody face being arrogant or but you can't be mad because so many people try to displace me about when I talk about myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't even like talking about myself. I'd rather be like, hey, you know how many football players I coach? Look at that one on the TV. Look at that one. playing basketball now. Look at that one still in middle school, softball player. I want to do that. I rather to do that media. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather have fun with it. But y'all put me in a position to have to defend myself. And I don't like that because my child will tell you who I am as a father. My niece and nephew will tell you who I am as a parent. This ain't no game, you know what I'm saying? They are very well up here. They and then there's people that's attacking that. And I do not like that type of that energy, you know what I'm saying? So let's continue with the stuff that we was talking about in Bible study. Lord God, once you start listening and teaching and following, basically, okay, Lord. Oh, basically he was saying the difference when I was talking. I wrote a note next to it. It was like basically like extension of what people saying, people wanting to kill God because he's God, and then people changing when when God start when you it's like a transition when God starts teaching you and you become a disciple, and then it's like a transition of them following you then to them teaching and being it's just that transition. And the thing about it is some people read the Bible and be like, you're stuck in that time frame, but it's a reference now. The Bible is a reference. It's not, you can't go off every word because you're not living every word. You can't put it's the same as when people practice, they call it spirituality, and they be out here doing all this because like they actually more on the freer side of making their own way. This is what the 12 days I watched the TikTok, and I don't know if it's still on TikTok. The 12 days I was laughing about the stuff that I seen people say about spirituality and the card readers or whatever, because I ain't finna get indulged in that. I ain't never finna let nobody crisscross cost me and keep that word as my word. I would never do that. I tell the people that I know who watch and listen to that stuff, y'all out y'all mind if y'all think y'all got to continue to listen to that over and over every day. That's another form of a reference from somebody that believes that they have a high spirit in them, or a spirit of what do you call it? A prophecy, or a leader that's the gift of gab. Some people will say this is what these TikTok people going there talking, you know what I'm saying? But I try my best to make it about my experience and what I see in the form. I try my best. I have not written any terms to make people follow, but when I start deciphering the Bible, when I start traveling to different countries, when I talk about these wars that they keep trying to repeat and go bar for bar and create prophecies that are so evil and wicked, now you could start placing me in a reference to certain people that you read out the Bible. I have not gotten enough. I have not gained enough attention to be considered that yet. People still like this. I'm not trying to go to the top of a mountain to tell everybody that no, it's not true, or no, I need to be in this position. No, I'm not going to go about it. It's going to naturally happen. Whatever the Most High internally and Most High people out here watching and paying attention that's in position, then that's gonna happen for me naturally. If it is supposed to, because I love sports, I love talking. Like I listen to hip hop for real. You know what I'm saying? That don't. It could be the explicit version right now. You know what I'm saying? But that don't mean I'm gonna go off what they say. That is what. That's why I'm a reference. I don't want to get beat up when I say this. When I heard when Kanye put that Netflix special out, and he was talking about the beats, and it's just like a beat. Like some people words is like a beat to me. So when they say stuff or chant, so I'll be listening like that. It's like it gets you motivated. It don't matter what they saying. It's just a motivation. It's like a beat. It's like when they go over there drumming on the beats in Africa and they start laughing about how they talk and do and get fueled up and to I won't say every situation a celebration or a party or some kind of chant. Like that's all it is. People, and even in the Spanish culture, they have several. And you read it in the books, they have several festivals and all this stuff that it's just how it is. Now we got the bands and all that stuff that doesn't have to. That's influencing you to get charged up to be inspired some kind of way, whatever your form of inspiration. So people can't get mad because I'm talking about the Bible and then I go listen to a hip hop song. and I only want to listen to hip hop most of the time because that's what my generation was. It don't got nothing to do with me going out and executing what they live. That don't got nothing to do with me. I just like what I like the song. I like the hip hop. That's what it is. Some of it could get real like tough, but then you can't get mad at me. That ain't my words. You can't. You know what I'm saying? If I meet them, I'm be like, man, your words, your rap song was cool. Your rap album was tough. Like that's how it is, man. You can't get mad. Then y'all don't criticize the people with explicit in the rock and roll world, the country world. The country world got some of the most demonic down. It's so downy. It's so the world's ending type of energy. They don't even speak on it enough. We talking about protecting ourselves most of the time. We talk about having fun, and some of that stuff pretty explicit when it comes to how they was having fun. But I'm telling you straight up, what I tell my children, what me and my sisters discuss, and my cousins, I ain't going to do none of them drugs they talking about. I'm okay. You know what I'm saying? I know what my mom told me. I know what my mother told me when I was younger. What the difference between this and that? And that's what comes in with all these people trying to do back channels of feeding you the wrong type of I would say medicine. And it ain't really medicine when you start putting it in pill form, opioid form, you're abusing, or you trying to come up with a plant that's not marijuana anymore. You trying to come up here and say people smoking different type of marijuana, that we trying to get the right kind of marijuana. Y'all over here playing around. And the marijuana is supposed to help your intellectual, your neurons. And this is the stuff we learned when we was in elementary. Now y'all changing it up. Now y'all going all the way out the way just because opioid is a very addictive drug, and it's popular over here in this country and that country that controls certain monetary aspects of the United States of America, all this stuff. So I hate to get off topic from the Bible study, but I had to like to say this is about religion. This is about leading. This is about guidance, and this is what a religion is. So let's go right into it. I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna finish up. This is one thing he said: the power of anointing is the oh is the oh I wrote this really messed up. The power of anointing is the precision of the look holy. Basically, basically he was saying the power of religion, the power of anointing is basically how much you possess of the Holy Spirit. And that's one of the last things he said that I wrote down, and it's probably another quote he wrote from somebody or learned, or it could be in the Bible as well. I don't know if it was a verse, but I'm a big believer in that. Whatever your spirit is, I told him right in the beginning of Bible study, is like it's up to you to make. It's a choice that you believe in God. And a lot of people don't understand when you're a child, unless you're born with some kind of deformity, or you're born in a very wicked family that is they have cursed their cells, or have been out here trying to manipulate, reincarnating God, which is natural. It's a natural thing when you get the spirit of God in you. When you come with a bloodline of God-like people, it's a natural thing. It ain't supposed to be forced. It ain't supposed to be stolen. They put all these movies out. Percy Jackson. They out here stealing light and all this extra stuff that they. It's not as demonic as it sounds, but it's demonic when you're trying to do it in a 3D flesh in a now. So I'm gonna leave it at that, man. This is I'm gonna keep it how I want it, man. We're gonna keep it on a high note. We're gonna keep doing these State of the Unions. I love what it's gonna take. I love how I'm gonna take this State of the Union into a whole different level of, it's gonna be a staple of when I do motivational speaking. It's going to be a staple of people going to reference these things in the future. I'm not tripping about the stats yet because, like I said, I want to travel a little bit more before I get into detail. But I don't think I'm losing detail. I've been standing in front of people giving out plenty of game. It's on the internet. People talking crazy all the time. They doing themselves in all the time. It's one of those type of that season or time, I would say time frame, of just people getting excommunicated for being dumb. Referencing my last show, what I called it, it's just not people not that intelligent. I don't have to have a degree to come out here and flex on people. And people think that I'm doing surface type of thing. It's not that I'm doing. When I start, when I go, these are live shows that I'm doing. When I go reference myself and I take notes of what I said, because this is how tough I am when I speak. I'm not gonna go back. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna be like, man, I said this. I quote this quote, this quote, this quote, this quote, this. There's so much right now I've done in a year. People not gonna understand what it's gonna look like for me in 5 years. It's gonna be crazy. Like, this is the stuff that I'm confident in. God be willing, God protect my family, God not change my course of what I'm gonna do. It's not gonna be. This is the stuff that I see going into them senators hall, going into these hearings. It's not. Y'all not prepared. Y'all better call somebody from deep over here, because there's not. It's not gonna be nothing sweet. So, I'm excited. I'm more on the excitement side. I'm more on the hope God put me in a position, especially my living situation, especially my family's living situation for my generation. We're not under the tree of our family. I don't want to be far away from them. I don't want to be out of communication with them. But I mean, like, I don't want to be at war with a country that I don't know why I'm at war, because we ain't known all that. So, I want to put the water out. I want to put the fire out on stupid people like that. I don't want that to be a thing for my child to be hovering over her head, because they did that. They did that play when they did 9/11 when I was in fifth grade. They wanted us to be in fear with the Middle East and all this cockamamie stuff. So that's gonna be said. I'm gonna try to keep it positive. This is the special. This is the elite State of the Union. I am your host, Ira Thomas Bush the Fourth. This is Dynasty the podcast show, and I appreciate y'all listening. And we're gonna be back tomorrow. I might do something for basketball. I might step in and do something, cool. Tone it down a little bit. But the State of the Union is that important. Sorry about the noise. But see y'all later. And we'll be back. We'll be, tomorrow should be cool if I do a show. And if not, we definitely doing one Monday. So y'all stay tuned. I appreciate y'all.